Hello. Hello and welcome to the Big Money Stylist podcast. I'm here with Ani and her scary hair.
How dare you? Okay, look. My puppy had a vet appointment this morning. He had to get some skin scrapings. He's fine.
But her hair is not
healthy. So this morning was, do I shampoo my hair?
I usually feel like I'm the one that shows up to the studio like half sweaty and a hot mess. So
Are you freaking calling me a hot mess?
Kind of.
Honestly, I feel sweaty.
I get it.
Look, he's almost 15 pounds, and I had to hold him for 20 minutes because he was so upset in the puppy van. I have like a vet that come to my house. It's like a vet van.
Why did you have him in a puppy van?
The vet has a big van that he comes to, and I held him, and he was
Sounds
just
normal.
sad. So anyway, moral story is, was I going to shampoo my hair this morning or hold Ronald? I was holding Ronald.
There you go. Hey, it's fine. It's fine.
You know who's a good mom? This guy.
This guy. This guy.
Watch, everyone's going to be
Call
like,
yourself
you don't
the
even
guy.
have kids. Fuck you.
I was joking around the other day. Ani came into the salon, literally, like her face looked like just melted. She was so sad, and I was like, Ani, get off my energy bus, and I thought she was gonna punch me in the face. She was literally, and then you left, and everyone's like, Danielle, be nice. She has a new baby. I'm like, no, she doesn't. She has a dog.
For a second, I'm like, what day was this? Oh, do you know what that was?
You literally, I thought you were. I'm pretty sure you were flipping me off in your head, but I was
No,
like,
actually, I was so stressed to the brink of tears that day.
you look like it, but I
Thank
didn't
you,
know
I
if it-
was.
I didn't know if it was related to your puppy. So when you and then I had just been
No.
reading the book, The Energy Bus, and so I'm like, Ani, and I came in like I was really chipper that day for some reason.
Yeah, I was not.
And so we were, and I was like, get off my energy bus, and I swear you were.
And you're like, Ani, you had said something to me. Oh, because I came to clean up and get something set and ready. And you're like, what's wrong with you? I was like, nothing. And you're like, what do you? I go, I'm just stressed, Danielle. You go, what do you have to be stressed about? And I just left.
yeah. And then I was like, guys, she has a newborn baby.
And no, it wasn't even Ronald. He's delightful and amazing.
Okay,
there was
good.
so much with work that it was like eye
It just
twitching week.
compounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
It like compounds in you.
Yep.
I know. I get it. My trainer today was like, your shoulder looks really, really tight. And I was like, we got two of the biggest events coming up ever.
What do you mean? I'm not stressed out. You're stressed out.
My shoulders are literally in my ear. So anyway.
You know, some days I find myself typing like that. I'm like, why do my shoulders hurt? And I'm like, why am I a hunchback all of a
Yeah,
sudden?
the worst is when you see a photo or somebody or yourself in the mirror and you're doing hair and you're like, why do I look like a creepy gremlin? I'm like, I will do your hair.
Please go to BigMoneyStylistNow.com and watch us be gremlins.
We need a meme for that, like hashtag gremlin hair. It's true.
It's
okay,
so true.
What's our topic?
Okay,
Well,
I want
yeah,
you
I'll
to-
share the story.
I'll tell you, Danielle didn't want to share it.
I didn't.
And I said, I forced her to. So tell us this. So Bailey is Danielle's eldest daughter.
Yes.
She's 12 years old.
Junior high age, so 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
She's really into like singing and show choir. She literally wants to be Ariana Grande, and she's like the cutest thing ever. She looks kind of like me, but she's tall, blonde hair, blue
she looks a lot like
eyes.
Garrett, too.
She looks a lot like Garrett. People think she looks more like Garrett, but she's like stunning. She's so cute. Anyways, she's been working really hard on her music. She had like her music teacher come over, and I can't remember the name of the song, and it was like a really good song. But she learned like a remix on this song, and today was the talent show.
Cool.
She got up at 5 a.m.
I'm sorry. Your daughter got up at 5 a.m.
Priorities. I can't ever get her out of bed, but for singing and music and something that she's really like, put a lot of effort in, she'll get up. So she gets
Rad.
up 5 a.m. I didn't even get up till like 6:30. Her dad took her to school. I went and saw her at the talent show at 8. It was like 8 a.m. Her hair was all cute and waved. She used a waver. She was in like a dress and Doc Marten boots. Like
She was wearing
looked,
Docs?
yeah, she looks so cute. Anyway, so she's singing and the music was kind of quiet and I could tell she couldn't hear the notes as well. And she had like 2 spots where she kind of messed up, but still was so good.
She's 12.
She's 12.
For fuck's sake.
And anyways, I was just like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you for putting yourself out there. Like, that's not fucking easy for adults or for children. And then I'm like applauding her. I'm like, oh my God, you smashed it. I'm like leaving the parking lot and I get a call from my daughter bawling. And I'm like, what is wrong? And she's like, this girl in the front row was snickering at me and rolling her eyes and getting all the boys to laugh at me with her. I'm like, well, that little bitch is jealous. And like, who does that? Sits on the front row and like snickers at somebody. And I'm like, are you sure she wasn't like, I'm sure she was just saying, immediately I was like, that little bitch. But in my mind, I'm like, I can't say that to my daughter. So I'm like, no, Bailey, I'm sure she wasn't talking about you. She goes, Mom, she looked right at me, rolled her eyes, snickered, and then whispered to the boys. And I was like, yep, that's not good. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, do you know? And I'm like, do you want me to come get you? What do you want me to do? And anyways, her dad is more, he gets more livid than I do. He's
Fuck that.
yeah, I'm more the more level-headed one that's like, no. And he's like, no, I'll go talk to her. So he went and got her, and she ended up coming home, and she just was like all swollen, puffy face. And I was like, you know what, Bailey? I was like, here's the thing. I'm like, you put yourself out there. I'm like, that's so scary. No matter how many times you practice, it's so different when you get up on stage in front of your peers. I'm like, you know what? And I was trying to share with the stories with her, and I don't know if it was helping at all. And I was like, I'm actually super quiet. Now I'm not so quiet anymore, but I wasn't a very good speaker, and I was more like behind the scenes, and I was the artist that just like loved the art. And like when I first started teaching, I would get so nervous every time, and I felt like eyeballs staring at me, and now I've gotten a little more comfortable, but I still always get nervous. And I was like, and I was telling her even in the beginning when I started doing my YouTube channel like forever ago, like just the idea of like, I'm going to put myself on camera, I'm going to look like an idiot, people are going to hate me, like I don't know what this, it's so scary even as an adult.
Yes.
And then to be in like, I just like really felt for her, and she was just like crying. And so anyways, I think like that, I just want to share that story because I think that happens even as adults. And I think as adults, we are almost less willing to put ourselves out there. Don't you think?
Well, for sure, because here's the deal. Do you know what cliff jumping is?
Cliff, just in the water?
Yeah, where you like literally jump off a cliff into water.
Yeah.
I remember being young, like I was Bailey's age, and we were cliff jumping in Missouri, and it was like not a big deal. You get up to the top, and you're like, it doesn't matter how deep it is. Nothing's going to happen to me. I'm fucking doing it. And then you jump off a cliff, and you get in the water, and you're like, oops, bad idea, great idea. But now as an adult, like...
You're like, no, it's not fucking worth it.
Now I stand up at the cliff, and I'm like, well, this is awfully high. How deep is it? How deep is the water? How cold is it? Where are the rocks? What are the 50,000 bad things that could happen? And it's... as we grow up, honestly, because of experiences like what Bailey had, you're right. We are less likely.
It's like a little scar. It's like a little ding in your
to then shield. Be like, well, is it worth it next time? Is it, and that's something that happens all the time. And even being here, this past Monday was my 2 years here. And I feel like it's been a really big week of reflection. I remember the first ever training I did for Mastermind. I've told you before, like I knew what I was wearing. I remember what I taught. Like I remember everything. I remember the first class and how utterly terrifying it was. Like even talking to you was scary to me back then.
Yeah.
And now it's just so funny to see.
I remember that too. Like sitting in classes with big educators, and they'd be like, "Does anyone have a question?" I was like,
yes, I do, but I don't think
I do, but I'm too scared to raise my hand.
It's like you raise your hand, they're like, what's your name? And you're like,
I don't know.
Danielle. It's like, wait, I thought it was Danielle. I thought it was too. Like, it's just so, so scary to put yourself out there.
You know what's bad? And this is a fun fact about me, and I still have this as an adult. So my face goes red really easy. It's so fucking embarrassing.
Really?
Yes. Still to this day, I'm actually like pretty social, but if somebody comes up and says hi to me and I'm in deep thought or I'm doing something and it catches me off guard, my face goes bright red, and then they see it go bright red, and then I see them get uncomfortable, and then I go even more bright red, and it's the worst. And like that is an adult. That still happens to me. It's so fucking embarrassing.
I'm gonna need you to wear full coverage foundation, please.
No, I even like when I start talking about it, I'm like, I'm getting hot and sweaty now thinking about it, and my skin goes red easy. It sucks so bad. So there you go. Even though I can speak on stage in front of hundreds, I still blush.
See, and I guess maybe I'm just lucky that I'm olive. It doesn't come across so easy.
And sometimes like I said, it's not even like I'm embarrassed. It startles me. And so then I go red, and then the people feel weird, and then I go more red because I am embarrassed because they notice that I'm red. It's the worst.
Man,
it's the worst.
Yesterday, I had a class with Mastermind students. I think we were talking about NBs, and I was like so in it and so excited. One girl knocked over a water bottle off of her tripod. Those cats that go, and they like jump out of their skin. It was me, to the point where like my heart started beating. I couldn't breathe as well. Like
you seemed like you had a lot of caffeine yesterday when I came by. I was like,
oh shit.
Did you?
Dude, so, okay, I don't actually drink caffeine.
You normally have a lot of energy, but I was like, she had caffeine today, I can tell.
Dude, I totally did.
I knew it, because you normally have energy. You're like Garrett. You already have energy, and then you give you more energy, and you're like...
I got up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
and I did my workout. I read my book. I cuddled Ronald. I hung out with Jared. Like, I had such a great morning. Then I'm like, let's stop at, Jared's like, I'll take you to work. I'm like, great, let's stop at Starbucks. I'm getting an espresso. One of the students, they go, I was drinking my coffee. They go, we don't think you should have any more. I didn't know it was.
Here's some carbs, honey.
I didn't know it was that apparent.
That's funny.
Jumping back to Bailey, that's why I feel like the younger you are, the less fear you have of doing something. Like even Ruby, I almost said youngest, you're now middle child.
Yeah, I know.
You know, Ruby does gymnastics and all these things. I'm sure she has no problem getting on stage and being like, hair flip, watch me bend over backwards and shove myself into a suitcase, like whatever they do.
Don't you think it's harder though to be? Maybe this is just me saying, like, I seriously used to have a fear of like public speaking, and I would rather get up and dance on stage, even if I look like a total dumbass, than get up and speak or sing. Like, speaking and singing is so vulnerable for me.
Do you know what? I won't dance.
Oh, really?
Do you know this last event for Mastermind is the first time I've ever danced on stage with anyone? Look, put me in front of a crowd. Shit.
Then we're the opposite that way.
Yep.
I'll look like a dork. I actually sometimes think I have moves. Give me a shot of tequila. I'm the best fucking dancer on the floor.
We were out last weekend. I know.
Yeah, see? It works out well. But you know what's so crazy? Like, here's what I was thinking as I'm thinking about the story of Bailey is I'm like, oh my God, like, as adults, even when we do put ourselves out there, there's still the mean girl, or there's still the adult bullies. We call them trolls in social media, where it's like you have like 25 positive comments and you have one asshole that like says something like so left field, and you're like, and you kind of let it get to you, but then you have to think like, okay, this person has like a fake account on social media.
And you know what?
Who are they? They're not putting themselves out there.
And that's my big thing. Look, I'm the first person to admit that I am not a perfect person. I have made plenty of mistakes in my life, just like every other of the 7.7 billion humans on Earth. I'm not a perfect person, but let me tell you something. If I fuck up, number one, I will happily own up to and be like, look, this is what I did. This is what I said. I apologize. I don't feel good about it because of XYZ, not making excuses, but I'm the first to own up and apologize. Like, my ego is not, everyone has an ego, number one, but mine is not so big that I won't admit when I'm wrong. On top of that, I hide behind nothing.
I know. I think that's so weird when people do that. Like, I think it just, here's what I think. I think they get a high in it. They get validation from even being mean and getting a reaction from people. And that's why I even tell people, I'm like, if you start to build a social media following, or even if you start to build a business, you're going to have critics. That's just how it is.
You'll have people that hate you.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it doesn't matter how good you are, how kind you are, how amazing you are. Perfect example, Ellen DeGeneres. She's an angel. She is hysterical. She does tons of volunteer work. Everything about her is about positivity, and still people hate her.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, how could you not like her? She's, I think, one of the most likable humans on earth.
Yeah, I just think it doesn't matter. The more you put yourself out there, the more you're going to have people that disagree with you for some reason or whatever. And I think it's important to just kind of stay in your lane and know that you're doing it for you, but you're also like when you can be authentic and when you can be you, other people will benefit off it versus just like hiding and not doing anything. You're not that troll that's saying mean comments or somebody, they're not actually helping better other people's lives. So I even had to tell myself that, because I think that even though I feel like my company is very much about building up positivity, I mean, we've had a lot of people who are like, I don't want to be associated with them. And I'm like, fuck you. You don't even know what my business is about. And if you actually sat in one of my events for more than 5 minutes, you'd be like, I don't care what other people think about this. This is amazing. I can't believe, you know what I mean? And I feel like I created a tool to help women or stylists, I guess you could say, make money. And I'm like baffled when I like, especially last year, like I fucking went through the ringer of people talking shit about me. I fired my staff. I doubled my salon. I revamped my education. I let go of my husband as being a married partner, but I fired him from my business. It wasn't like a bad fire. He was stressed, and I was like, this is going the wrong direction. And so I just felt like I took like so much stress and heat. And yeah, I could have been like, this sucks. I'm out. I think though what keeps me going, and I don't know about you, is I'm like, I can't stop now because of all the results that we are having, and the results that we are having like trumps everything else.
Well, and for me, it's, look, you don't know me. You don't know me. To me, it's as simple as that. I know why I do what I do. I know why I'm so willing to put myself in the hot seat right beside you and right beside Garrett. Because I've already realized anyone who doesn't like you or Garrett, they sure as fuck don't like me either. And I'm okay with that. I know who I am. I know where my heart lies. I know what my intentions are. I know what matters to me. And I know what sure as fuck doesn't matter to me. And at the end of the day, there has to be a reason that all of us are so willing to put ourselves in the line of fire for what we do and what we love. And it's because it fucking works. And I say that to my students. At the end of the day, like, I'm the bodyguard to what BMS is. Right. And I'm cool. Like, I'm well aware of shit that's talked so mad, but I'm like, you know what? Here's the deal. Until you're brave enough to come and say it to my motherfucking face, not hiding behind some account, not hiding behind some fake email, not hiding behind anything, I don't give a fuck what you say, because you're not even brave enough to stand behind your own words. And that's why I sit here right now, my voice, my face, and I have no problem saying exactly how I feel because I stand by it.
Well, and I think that's actually more powerful because I see people, again, using social media as an example, who react to stuff. And I tell them, I'm like, when you get people that say negative things about you, the best thing you can do is ignore them, because if you feed that negativity, that's what they want. They want validation in the negativity. They want to be like, hey, I got noticed. Whether it's negative or positive, they just want to be validated. So if you go out of your way to be like, you're a jerk and da-da-da-da-da and try to like fight back, you're just giving them validation. Now, there are times in my life where I'm like, okay, there's certain situations where I'm like, sorry, not that I have to fight back, but I have to stand up for my brand I created and the integrity and things like that. And that's a different situation. And like for forever, I was like, I had to even make a distinction with hand-tied hair extensions. I think that everybody was talking shit. Oh, she didn't create this, da 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 da. Or, you know, and part of it could have been voices in my own head. You know what I mean? I don't know. Probably I'll just put that myself out there right now. Like, part of it was probably in my own head. But one of the things I knew is I was like, no, like this is a system that I believe in. This is like what I created. And I felt like I had to like really tunnel vision. You know what I mean?
And here's the deal with everybody, not just me, not just Danielle, not just Garrett, not just Sam Falsafi from Warrior, like everybody. If you're someone who's willing to put yourself out there, you're willing to be front and center, you're willing to be in the field, on the stage, whatever it is, don't listen to the people that sit in the bleachers. Because look, and I already know I'm going to get so much heat for this podcast.
You're fired up.
Good.
I like it.
Good, motherfuckers. I don't care, because if you're going to sit in the bleachers, you don't have a right to criticize me. I busted my ass. I sacrificed. I gave everything I had to be where I'm at. And you think you have the right to sit there and criticize us for trying to make a difference and for actually making a difference. So look, until you have the fucking balls to come to where we stand and create something from you don't fucking matter. And that goes for everyone who's ever taken our course, who's ever taken a stand for something they believe in. It's very easy to sit on the outside and say, you're going to practice for 6 months. You're going to another event. You're going to take another class. You're charging what? Listen here. Fuck you.
I think too, like, if you think about it, like, I mean, we're kind of talking like on a bigger scale and like company and like how things are evolving. But even in the beginning, I remember when I first started my brand and I was like, Garrett and we grew up super religious, and there was this point where I was like, hey, I don't feel like I want to be a part of this religion right now. It's not serving me. And even like in that smaller group, I felt like people were like, what is she doing? What is going on? And there was like, I felt the whispers there, but it was almost like it was a step I needed to take to prepare me for more in my life, you know, and every point I've come to. And it's so funny because you'll hear stylists in our education or not in our education, you'll hear people in general say like, I just feel like I don't like click with this group anymore. Or there's people that I feel like I've outgrown them. And you're like, I know. Can you imagine if you scale this even more? Like you have to be able to like let go of those you feel like you've outgrown in order to continue on the path that you feel like you should be, not the path that somebody else feels like you should be on.
And look, they're going to talk shit. Accept it now. Accept it. Be okay with it. They're going to talk shit. And here's really why I think why. Those who are, number one, either unhappy in their own lives, they cannot take accountability for the fact that your life is what it is because of decisions that you made. So like, and I'm just going to keep using us as an example. Like if you've ever come to one of our classes and you didn't have success or you didn't like it or whatever, with all due respect, those were your decisions. You chose to go home and not implement it. You chose to go home and not raise your price, or you chose to go home and build your business how you wanted. Those are your decisions, not mine and Danielle's.
But it's easier to blame the tool than take accountability that you didn't do the work with the tool.
Accountability is hard as fuck. So it's either 1, you're not taking accountability for your own shit, or 2, you're scared. And guess what? For anyone who's ever received criticism from anybody for anything that you've done because you've stepped out of the box, they're scared. And they're unwilling to make changes for themselves. So it's easier for them to be like, you did what? Oh, that's a terrible idea.
You know what's crazy too, though, is I think that we oftentimes, we put emphasis on like the wrong numbers, like just talking about, we get so worried about what people think and our followings and that kind of thing.
Like social media.
Yeah. And I don't have a huge following. I think I have like 58,000 followers on the Natural Beauty Rose page. And I'm not saying this to brag, but in our industry, this is like, we just sold out an event of 300 stylists at $5,000 a ticket. Most events, they are selling for maybe $1,500 at the most. And they're not selling out to that. Like they might do a class of 500, a class of 300, and it's a lot less. And I've worked really hard to get to the point where I can charge that and fill an event. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So even though my social media is not like huge, I know what I'm doing in business is getting me results. And so I tell my students, I'm like, if they're worried about putting themselves out there, if they're worried about, like, because we'll get that a lot. They're like, well, I did a video and I felt stupid, but oh my God, I got 2 more leads. I'm like, oh my God.
Who cares? You know, when I started your program, when I started in BMS almost 4 years ago, it's been like 3.5 years now, I think when I started, I had like 200, 300, 400 followers. By the time a year later came and I was working 3 days a week, so 12 days a month, and I was making $20,000 a month, I had maybe 1,500 followers.
Yeah.
But I was making $20,000 a month as a hairstylist working 12 days.
Right.
Come on.
Well, and that's what the number I try to get my students to focus on, because that's what drives me nuts about social media is that like people, even people who aren't doing a ton of in business, they almost are like, well, I have like 400,000 followers. And you're like, I know what you're doing in business. Like stop holding on to that number as your number of success, because you're that person that's possibly looking at the wrong number. And to me, that's like hiding behind something like that. You're not actually getting results. And so there's even like in the beginning, now I don't really care, but I remember even in the beginning, I was like, my social media, my content's so good. It should be higher. It should be this and da 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 da. And then I was like, but I'm making good money and I'm building a business. So like maybe I should be less worried about that and still use social media as a tool.
Yeah.
But I don't need to stress about it that's actually the main focus of my success.
We are a time and a generation of validation, which is fine. But then I believe because people need validation so frequently and onto such a high scale, that's what makes like the trolls and the haters and those little, that's right, I'm going to say it, little 12-year-old bitches. Man, kids are fucking gnarly. I don't care. Send me an email if you're pissed about what I just said. I don't care. But like what makes those, they're bullies.
I almost emailed this teacher.
Look, they're bullies. You're a bully. It doesn't matter if you're a 12-year-old bully, if you're a 45-year-old bully, or a 6-year-old bully. If all you do is try to shit on other people, you're a fucking bully, and you should be ashamed of yourself, is what it is.
It's like baffling to me. I'm like, just be a good human being.
But here's the deal. I think because people love validation so much,
they'll take validation bullying.
Yeah.
Like the girl sitting in the front with the boys. She wanted validation that, oh, Bailey sucks or whatever this.
She wanted attention from the boys.
Yeah, and the boys are looking at my freaking cute daughter
She's
on
precious.
stage with her hair and her long legs, and she immediately felt threatened and was like, I'll get all the boys to join in to give me validation.
And it's sad.
But it happens in adult life too.
That's what I'm saying. Like it just happens everywhere. And I think because people in general love validation so much, that's really why criticism comes across so much harder.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you and I spend so much time together, like we're together all the time. And I really do feel like we've come to a place where we're able to look at criticism, whether it's like, I feel like we're able to separate it into 2 parts of, okay, is this constructive criticism that we need to listen to?
I always have to tell myself feedback and instead of critique. And this is, I'll just say this really, really quick, not to throw you off, but like, I think that we can play on words. So if we say, I'm going to critique you, you're automatically like offended and guarded and whatever. But if you say, I'm going to give you feedback, it literally changes the energy back and forth. You know what I mean? You can use words as power. That's why I say things like grace, or you'll see here Ani say like fuck off, because she's using that word to get your attention as power. And I think that if you need to rephrase how you think of critique to feedback, then you can even have better results off of whatever you're trying to accomplish by using words that help you accomplish that.
Well, and here's the deal. At the end of the day, words only have the power that you're willing to give them. So people always want to know, like, oh my gosh, Ani, why does she use so much profanity? She curses all the time. Well, guess what? Because to me, it doesn't really fucking matter. You can say fuck or you can say, oh, darn it. And to me, they hold the same power because I don't give one word more power than the other. And you know what that makes me? Strong as fuck. Like, you can't come at me. I am not a sensitive human being because I choose to not give words power. You can come and call me the C word, which I won't say because it's very offensive here in America. You could honestly even call me that, and really, I'll probably just laugh it off because that's borderline hysterical to me as opposed to offensive.
Right, but when you see, and I'm the same way, like words don't trigger me as much anymore, but I've used words as power. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's also part of what we do. That's why we're on stage. That's why you and I are so adamant all the time in our trainings. Like, listen, don't do that. And it's kind of like kicks in the butt that we have to give people. Like, we've needed kicks in the butt. But what I'm saying is when you're looking at what someone is saying, and we'll just go like to the negative aspect in general, whether they're like, ugh, you're so shitty, or I don't like your hair, or your clothes are dumb.
Women are way more passive aggressive.
Women are fucking they're psychotic.
Women are way more passive aggressive.
Do you know I learned that after Warrior?
They don't say, I don't like your shoes. They'll be like, those are interesting. Your hair looks great.
I could never pull those shoes off. Just say you don't like my fucking shoes, or just don't say anything. But you know what? After Warrior, Garrett and I were talking one day, and he's like, do you know women are way worse than men? I'm like, yes. Women, if they're upset with you, they'll be like, you know what? You might be my neighbor, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to burn my house down, and I just hope yours catches fire. And men are just like, you're a sack of shit. They punch you in the face and they move on. But women are vicious. Good Lord.
That is funny. I've never thought of that. I'll burn my own fucking house down. And I hope you're in it. You know what? That's true. Sometimes when I'm in a fight with Garrett, I'll feel like I'm like putting him in punishment. And then I'm like, damn it, I'm actually punishing myself.
I'm actually upset.
I'm upset about this. Why don't I get sex again?
You don't get sex. Oh, shit. That means me
Shit.
too. All right. You get sex, but I won't look at
Same
you.
with parenting though too. Like parenting, I'll like give my kids like consequences, and then I'm like, wait, that's a consequence for me. Never mind.
You don't get your phone. Fuck, now I can't call you.
Wait, now I can't get a hold of you, and I have really bad anxiety about it.
Shit, this is a problem. But even with that, but going back to feedback, and like I'm saying, in the way of constructive or not constructive, if someone is saying something to you, I think you and I have really learned to differentiate between like, look,
you have to.
You're literally just looking for any form of attention and you're a real sack of shit versus like, oh, you're like, let's say someone came to us and they're like, I don't like your program. We wouldn't be like, oh yeah, well, I don't like you. We'd be like, great. Well, can you tell us why? What did you not like? What did you like? What could we have done better?
I'm laughing so hard because it took me do you guys know how many DMs and emails? And this is just how it goes when you're building a big business. You're going to get people call and give you shit. And if I could give you anybody who's listening to this words of advice, instead of being that person that's like, well, fuck you, and you don't respond to them, I want you to just step outside your soul for a minute, or your body, and like you have to almost like look. This is how I visualize it. Like, I'm looking down at myself and I'm like assessing what's going on, and I'm like, well, why did this client or why did this student have such a negative experience? There's got to be one little golden nugget I can see in this situation that I can take accountability and at least fix it. Even if Crazy Sally is so fucking crazy, there's still a flaw in the system. Why Crazy Sally made it in, and then why Crazy Sally flew off her radar. Or same with a client or a student. And so I look at it as like, okay, well then maybe our application needs to be different. Or okay, maybe if we see red flags when a client's sitting in the chair, then maybe it's not a good fit. And we physically have had to tell clients sitting in the chair, hey, this isn't going to work out. We're going to refund your deposit. Godspeed, whatever. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And so I think it's important to be able to give yourself feedback even on Crazy Sally.
And it's just so interesting. But I do think you have to be able to differentiate between like, oh, you're nuts. Like here's I'm gonna put myself out there, and it's gonna be interesting. There was a time, obviously you guys know I was engaged for a while, I was in a relationship, and then I started dating the guy that I'm currently dating. And there was a rumor that went around because the timing, not that it was weird or off, but we started dating maybe like a few weeks after I did my engagement. This was almost 2 years ago now, by the way. It's been a very long time. Yeah. And then someone who does not like me on social media, they started going, did you know that Ani cheated on her fiance? Did you know that Ani cheated? Did you know that Ani cheated? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, Well, there's
I didn't even know him.
I'm like, there's a lot of things that I'll do in life, but that's actually a really moral, like, high ground for me of not doing that. So I sat there and I'm like, you know what I realized? I'm like, you're actually just making shit up because you got nothing on me.
Yeah.
You have nothing on me. So the only thing you can do is make shit up. So at that point, I was like, you know what? From here on out, everything
I don't
you
care.
say, you're erased from my life.
Yeah, you're like, it doesn't even matter anymore.
No, and that's where not that you have to get to the point of like erasing people from your life, but also realizing like some things just don't matter.
Yeah.
They only matter if you make them matter. Words only affect you if you choose to give them power. People affect you if you choose to give them power. So take back your power. Decide that all the shit they're saying doesn't matter to you, because at the end of the day, you go home to your life, to your family, to your pets, to your kids. They go home, do whatever the fuck they want, and in a few years, you're not even going to be around them. So who cares?
Well, and if you can't like learn and grow from it, like you have to see progression in your life. And if you can't learn and grow from it, then it's not like you have to be able to like get stronger through all of it. You know what I mean? So
yes.
I was trying to explain that to my daughter this morning, even though I was like, that little bitch. I was like, you know what though? Because she was like, I don't want to sing anymore. Like that was her response. And I was like, why? I was like, Bailey, you're a great singer. And and her dad came in and was like, he was like very sympathetic, but then he said, well, you just need to practice more too. And I was like, bad timing. Bad timing.
Say that tomorrow.
I was like, don't say it today. But I was just thinking, like, you know what? The lesson for me wasn't like that she needed to practice more. The lesson for me to give to my daughter was like, sometimes you're going to feel like you got knocked down. And the best thing you can do is get back up, because when you get back up, you're even stronger. Like
yes.
How many times I can count numerous times where I like feel like I've been knocked down and I'm like, fuck you. And I come back like Tom Brady out of... I just come back.
Oh, I love it. Let's do it.
But don't you feel like that? Like if you let it knock you down and you stay in that space,
to me, and I feel
you can't get any stronger.
Yes, and everything to me that's like not come against us, but come to us, I feel has made me very resilient and a very strong person.
Right.
Even with things like, and I'll use like Garrett as a great example. Like, yeah, he can totally be terrifying to some people. Like, and I get it. I've been in the hot seat with Garrett before. Like, I've been in trouble, and I've been in like great sides.
I think that I've been scared of Garrett.
But I also realized even last year with other staff that they would come to me and be like, you should talk to Garrett about this. I'm like, you talk to Garrett. Like, I don't talk to Garrett. He's scary. But then I realized, I'm like, you know what? Because I talked to him so much, because I've been in the fire and in like normal daytime with him, I was like, you know what? You really just don't scare me. Yeah, we're going to go at it. We're going to go head to head. But being able to go head to head with him, you and I have gone head to head, has made all of us very resilient and I believe also very compassionate and understanding.
I think too, like I know with like at least Garrett or even with you, like you guys are both like my two wing people, my hair wife and my other wife.
My wife and my hair wife
are very, and I'm strong personality too, but I'm a little more... I don't want to say quiet.
Garrett and I are fire.
You guys are fiery, and I think I'm fiery till I'm like with you guys.
You're like a mellow heat.
I'm a soft roar.
Hot.
I'm just like a soft roar. I don't know. But it's just so interesting, like, because I think forever I would always be the one that'd be like back down. I'd be like, no, it's fine. It's fine, because I don't like confrontation. Mm-hmm. And finally I was like, that doesn't serve me. That doesn't serve him. That doesn't serve you.
No.
And I had to be like, no, I got to hold my own. I can't like be fuming here and then say it's fine because I don't like confrontation. Mm-hmm. And so for me as an individual, I really had to like rise above that in order to grow. And now like I can go toe to toe with Garrett, even in an argument, and I can see him back down to me like, fuck. And I'm like, yeah, that's where we're at right now. And I don't say that, but I felt like I had to get there in my relationship even with him, because I'm like, I can't, like, we couldn't have a relationship where he was constantly over the top of me. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, I've got to change. And even like with you and I, same thing. I was like, I felt like I had to come toe to toe with you for a while. And I'm like, Ani, this is what we're doing.
Well, and there was a time where, and Garrett even said it, he's like, you have to go toe to toe with Danielle. Like he would say it. And I'm like, but we're not there. And like, I don't think we can. But he'd be like, well, you need to learn how. And then he's like yelling at me for not going head to head with you. And then I feel like, I know, right? You're like, God damn it. But then like there was a point where you and I, we would go head to head. But I feel like we made it not past that point, but I don't even feel like we do that. It'll be like, hey, well, what, even like yesterday, we're going back and forth about beads. And you're like, well, what about this? And I'm like, no, because this. And you're like, oh, right. And then I'm like, well, what about this? And you're like, no, because this. And it wasn't like no, Danielle, your idea is dumb. Mine's better. It was just like, okay, well, if we take this part of this and that part of this and put this.
I think it's a balance of learning to take feedback and also giving somebody else respect. Do you know what I mean?
There's mass respect between us two.
Because even like when we're on stage together, you'll be like, hold on. And I'll be like, okay. Or if I have like because I ramble, I tend to tell stories and I ramble. So she'll be like, hold on.
I'll be like, you're getting ahead.
You're like the time Nazi. So you're like, so, but then there's like ebb and flow to it where I'm like, no, Ani, let me finish this story. And it's like this balance of like respect and then also like I don't know where we're going with the show.
I mean, really, it's talking about putting yourself out there and not listening to criticism. But really, I feel like because I spent so much time with you in 2 years, I also know I'm like, okay, this is a story that it might be slightly off the path, but it's important, finish it.
Yeah.
And then there are times where I'm like, she's going too far, too far.
No,
And
there's
then I'm
times where I'm like, somebody please reel me in.
I'm like, Danielle,
I'll just keep talking.
And I've learned this from Garrett where I'm like, and I'm literally dying you, and you're like, you just go, I knew it. I'm like,
okay, fine.
I did yesterday's class. You're like, because it's not. I'm like, time
I'm so excited.
So guys, moral of the story, look, I get it. It's not easy putting yourself out there. We do it every single day. We do the podcast and put ourselves out there. And this is our own thoughts and feelings and experiences. We do it on social media. We do it in front of hundreds and hundreds of people in all the classes that we do. I get it. It's not easy. But at the end of the day, drown out the noise that does nothing for you. If people are sitting in the bleachers screaming at you and throwing tomatoes, well, guess what? They're never brave enough to be where you are. And at the end of the day, their opinion doesn't really matter.
Well, and you know what's not, at least in our industry, what's not going to get you further ahead is attending another balayage class or attending another foiling class or attending another extension class. That's not actually going to get you further along. You're just like doing things to check them off the list to feel like we talked about it on one of our last shows where it's just kind of like the false loop. Mm-hmm. And so you have to figure out what path is going to lead you to progression in your life and then know that in that there's going to be growth. There just is. And in growth, there's going to be a little bit of pain. And the biggest advice I can give you is learn to tunnel vision and go after your goals and stay on that path, because ultimately if you serve yourself, you will serve so many others around you. So I think that's like a good way to end the show today. But
guys, thank you for being here. Episode 94. We're getting so close to 100.
Wow.
100. So if you want to see all of our mannerisms and us being little gremlins, go to Yes. Go to bigmoneystylistnow.com and you can see us, watch us, see me yell, look at how sweaty I look. And guys, we'll see you next week.
Bye.